As Asia faces an energy crunch and flights through the Middle East continue to be cancelled amid safety concerns, tourism in the region is being impacted. Let's find out how exactly with aviation and tourism advisor Anita Mendiratta, who joins us from London. Anita, can you tell us to what extent have flights through the Middle East been impacted and how have they affected routes through Asia?
Indeed. Thank you very much, Yvonne, for having me. There's been a massive impact in terms of the ability for people to fly from Australia through the Middle East to Europe and the UK and even on to the Americas, particularly because about 30% of the world's traffic travels through that Middle Eastern air corridor. So even if they're not landing in the Middle East and connecting onwards, it's that ability to safely go through that air corridor. And as we know right now, it's very much a proceed with caution because the military conflict continues. So as a result, flights are either being cancelled or they're being diverted, which means huge pressure on airlines and on passengers trying to move across the world.
On the other hand, which airlines, companies and countries stand to benefit from the travel changes we've had to make in response to the war in the Middle East?
There are definitely airlines that are benefiting, and it's in specific routes when you look around the world. So if you were looking at coming from Australia, for instance, and wanting to go to Europe, normally about 55–60% would go through the Middle East. Now they're having to pivot more towards either Singapore, Hong Kong, or through China. And China is an interesting one because not only are the prices of airlines more competitive, China can fly through Russian airspace, which a number of Western airlines are not able to. So they can very easily fly over China, across into Russia, and then Europe and the UK, doing it rather time effectively as well. So there are definitely flights and airlines that are benefiting. We've seen Qantas has increased its daily routes going into Europe and the UK, as has Singapore Airlines, as has Chinese Airlines and Thailand as well. So there's definitely growth coming through for airlines, while others are definitely seeing the declines.
Well, what does this say about the situation in the Middle East if airlines such as Qantas say they're going to increase the number of flights to Europe?
And what it means for the Middle East is that there's going to be continued pressure because ultimately no airline wants to ever fly unless there's absolute security in being able to do so. So we know that those three airlines coming out of the Middle East, primarily Emirates, Etihad, and Qatar, which are outstanding airlines, they simply cannot run at full capacity. And quite honestly, Yvonne, people are nervous of flying. So they're going to make choices that avoid going through that area as a whole. What we're seeing as well as we go into Northern Hemisphere summer is that Asian travelers, rather than flying into Europe, are actually going to stay in the Asia region. ASEAN has already seen a great deal of growth, as we've seen Europe and the UK growing in terms of European travel. So people are staying closer to home as they're just feeling more confident in a regional flight rather than a long-haul international.
Anita Mendiratta, really great to get your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yvonne.